Hi, Katie. Thanks so much for an interesting introduction to game-based learning. I think this is a topic that people have kind of heard about, perhaps, especially in some of the journals and some of the literature that they may be reading, but maybe don't have a really good sense of what it means or what the implications are for teachers and teacher librarians. So you've provided us with lots of interesting resources and lots of good links and articles that hopefully will give people a better understanding of what this means and what or how they can introduce game-based learning into their own schools or school libraries. Um, I liked this video that you chose to use as an introduction. I almost think, though, particularly if you were going to use this with staff members and if you were going to use it for staff members to work through on their own without you kind of leading them through it, that the video maybe is not the best place to start. I think having the introduction and background page first and maybe using that video as part of this introductory material would be useful, but there were a lot of terms in that video that some people might not understand, and it might make it almost frustrating for them to watch the video if they don't really understand enough about it to kind of follow through. That's, not a major issue, but just something you might want to think about depending on the audience that you are using this with. I thought your choice of using this video was really good. Obviously, this was a presentation that somebody else created for another course, and it provided some good background and overview information. I wondered in this section here, in the introduction and background material that you wrote, and in some other places as well, I think probably you need to have a few citations here just to reference where you got some of this material from. For example, this throughout history games have been used to teach skills. While certainly that's true, I suspect that you got some of this stuff from other sources, so it would be a good idea to cite those sources and then have them referenced in your reference list. In your teacher application section, you've got made good use of some videos here to highlight certain things. You've provided links to articles that might be relevant and useful, which are good. Again, you've got charts and that kind of thing here, which give you some good information, but probably should be cited specifically in a proper format, just so that you are very clear about where this information has come from. I like the list of benefits and challenges. Again, I would like to see you citing those, where you've taken that information. But I think this is a very clear way of indicating what the benefits are, but then, things that people need to think about, particularly if they're getting started. Um, Again, you've got lots of good tips and strategies. I wondered why the font kind of changed throughout your presentation. I wasn't sure if there was a particular reason for that. It's fine either way, but it was a little distracting as I was going through because I wasn't sure if I was missing something that was important. This section, oh, sorry, I clicked on the same thing again. This section here on game websites, I think this is a really useful list of resources for parents and for teachers, and having a link to this page even on a school library website would be very beneficial. I thought you could probably have a separate page here that talks about what teacher librarians could be doing in their school libraries to promote game-based learning and also to support teachers that are trying to use games in their classrooms more, or maybe even what teacher librarians are doing to support game-based learning in their school libraries. I think that would be really interesting. Also, I thought you talk a little bit, very briefly, about Second Life here. And although Second Life may not be considered completely game-based learning in some circles, I think it would tie very nicely into your presentation. And there are some really interesting applications for education and also for teacher professional development and Second Life. And it would be worth including some of that in your wiki here. So a few things to think about, some questions that I had that I was unclear about, but overall lots of good content and lots of good links and articles for people to learn more about this topic. So thank you very much for introducing us to the idea of game-based learning and how it would work in schools.